Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
If there is a role in cognitive role in the craft that I struggle with more than most, it's probably the Junior Warden is certainly up there in the top 10, probably in the top 5. Not in terms of execution and inside the lodge experience, but in terms of my own ability to self-regulate. And a lot of that has to do with the subverted expectations that we have. We're taught, a lot of us as men are taught to just tough it out or suffer through. And we ennoble that, and we call folks that don't have that capacity, we give them names. We call them lazy. We call them, weenies or whatever. And when that happens, and I expect to get tormented for that. When that happens, when people have that kind of social pressure to perform past the limits of their, beyond the limits of their ability to sense what's going on, and maybe even subvert their own physiology, what happens is all of those needs that aren't getting met, or all of those knobs and dials internally that might be flashing in the red, essentially kind of spontaneously in a lot of ways just go dark. And those needs get pushed into other behaviors. So for example, and I'm not trying to trivialize this. So if you're a mental health professional, please, email me and correct me where I'm wrong. But a lot of physiological needs that get subverted, that where you just tough it out, you just kind of, muscle your way through, turns into a self-medicating behavior. So a lot of folks that self-medicate effectively do so because they have lost the ability to understand the nature of the problem they're experiencing in their own body, in their emotional content, or whatever the case might be. So they just kind of numb the pain away to the point of essentially not understanding it at all. So much so that the pain numbing becomes part of a habituated pattern, which turns into long-term addiction. Very likely, addiction is something that affects all people, either internally or through the behavior of others. You may or may not have addictive behavior. I don't know you yet, but certainly would love to find out when it comes to how you've overcome maybe some of those self-medicating cycles that, again, I think a lot of people fall victim to. In my own case, those social signals of, toughing it out, of suffering on behalf of other people, right? So giving selflessly, whatever that might mean, all turns into essentially a certain amount of turning a blind eye to your own needs. The Junior Warden role really requires you to meaningfully begin to notice what those needs are and how you can honor them in a way, again, not to suggest that I have an ouchie and therefore I shouldn't go to work, but rather notice that as you are experiencing something that is uncomfortable, that you shouldn't push it away. That it is okay for you to notice it and also to continue. True resilience requires this because there are some pains that you cannot continue through. There are some hurts where the most prudent decision is to stop, is to take a break, to take a breath, to go out and, take a couple deep breaths or take a hike. Again, I can't tell you how to charge your batteries. What I can tell you is more often than not, that recharge cycle is a lot more effective than the self-abuse talk of, I'm just going to muscle this out or tough it out because I'm not a wuss. When you start that mental process, you start negatively evaluating the feedback your body's giving you. You say, this feedback is no good. It's not valuable to me, or it's not helping because I do need to get this objective complete. When that starts to happen, you essentially start pushing away a part of the sort of dashboard of indicators that you're going to need in order to be effective in the world. For a lot of folks, this happens over the course of their childhood or over the course of their life. And then they spend the balance of their adult life trying to figure out why they're doing the things that they're doing, even when they know they're not good things to do. This Junior Warden function, this noticing, this pursuit of interoception, this mindfulness practice is absolutely vital, I think, to effectively become a meaningful agent of change. Because if you don't know yourself, and if you can't read the behavior of others, when it comes time to create something new or something true, it's all built on systems that you don't understand and can't regulate. So I can't recommend this mental role play, this perspective strongly enough. It's interesting that in most progressive lines, the Junior Warden is kind of the first elected officer, and you move from, first this capacity to regulate. Then, if you remember, in the Senior Warden, the capacity to understand the benefits and how to close, and then in the Worshipful Master role, the ability to really understand how to create spaces where work can be done to achieve an objective. All three of these things fit together. It's a real powerful statement that our ritual encourages you to be a Junior Warden first. See you next week.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com. and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.